Hello, everybody, and welcome to a revisit to the Floral Strategies Holiday Bootcamp webinar that was originally broadcast on November 6th, kindly sponsored by the good people at Design Master. I apologize. We had a few technical glitches, and we had hoped to get this to you sooner, but here it is, better late than never. The original webinar was scheduled to last about 75 minutes. This recording is going to be much quicker simply because there won't be questions. However, I'll integrate some of the questions that were asked on the live webinar into the program today. So thank you for your patience, and I hope that you will get a lot out of the program. So I am Tim Huckabee, the gentleman at the top of the screen. Our office manager isn't joining us since it's just me doing the recording, but you'll meet him and hear him on future webinars that we produce. What I want to do is give you a little bit of background on me. You may not be familiar with me, my name, so I'll explain what I'm about. I've been in the flower business for over 20 years now, actually. I began working at a high-end flower shop in New York City, where I still live. The name of the store is called Surroundings, and it's still there. And what I did was I answered the phones, waited on customers, did everything except design. I worked there for 5 years and really learned all about the flower industry. And in that time, while I was talking to other florists, sometimes calling out orders, taking their calls and their questions, just in casual conversations with them, I realized that back then, in the early 90s, and sadly still, 20 years later, aside from me, there's literally no source for customer service and sales education in our massive industry. So that was the proverbial kick in the pants I needed to start my own business. It was the classic example of seeing the unfulfilled need. So I started Floral Strategies when I left Surroundings in 1997 with the intent of bringing education to florists, literally bring it to their doorstep, make it easier for them to learn the critical skills that are needed to make a business thrive and grow. And since starting the business, I've worked at lots of different stores, big ones and small ones and urban ones and suburban ones and rural ones. You may be familiar with me or my name from my work with floral management and SAF. I have a column called CSI Flower Shop in the Floral Management magazine every month. It's been running for a couple of years. And I make a call to a flower shop posing as a customer. There's a different scenario every month. And then in the column I break it down, what went well, where they fell down, and then I give you a little bit of advice on how to tackle the same issues in your store. The reason I'm showing the globe is simply because I literally have traveled the globe doing this project or doing this work. I've been fortunate enough to visit nearly every state in the Union. I've visited flower shops across Canada. As I sit doing this recording, I'm currently in New Mexico. I'm preparing to work at a flower shop in Connecticut on Friday, and then next week I'll be working at a big flower shop in Scotland. And the reason I share that is to emphasize that so much of what I'm talking about today, I say it with lots of conviction because I know that it works. These are concepts, these are processes, these are plans that I've personally seen working in successful flower shops around the world. So as you sit watching, listening to this, there may be some hesitation on your part thinking, well, that's not going to work in our little town, or that's not going to work with our customers. Trust me, it will. And even if you're skeptical, let this material prove itself to you. Go in, try it, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. One other quick comment I want to make before we actually get into the webinar is this webinar is kind of a hybrid of ideas, meaning that there are some management issues in here. There are some staff issues in here as well. The staff issues really are applicable to everybody because they're dealing with sales and customer service. And I'll talk at the end of the session about a very specific, intense holiday training webinar that focuses just on the down and dirty skill set that's really needed to make to make your holiday most efficient, but you're definitely going to get some of that material in the session today. So the outline for the program is for me to share with you some ideas and some concepts that will help your holiday be more efficient, to be more profitable, to be more successful. And look at this as a laundry list. If you're already doing some of this, great. This is just going to be validation that you're doing a good job. If you're not doing some of this, if you haven't done it before, if you've been thinking about it, hopefully this will give you the motivation to start to do some of these programs with your team. The most important thing that you can do is schedule meetings. This always seems to be a big issue with flower shops. I go into small stores and the excuse for not having meetings is, oh, well, it's just, it's a few of us and we chit-chat all day and we're like a family. I'm telling you right now, even if you talk all day, you're still dealing with interruptions from the phone ringing, customers coming in, deliveries being made. I promise you, you will get more done in a formal after hours or before hours meeting in just 60 minutes than you'll ever get done during the day. You'll be focused, you won't have interruptions, and even the dynamic shifts. When you know that you're sitting together before or after hours, there's an understanding of the intent is we have specific issues to talk about. We're not going to be interrupted. Let's get through them. Meetings are critical and vital. They're really the cornerstone of running a store better because they improve communication, they improve morale. They actually help you, if you're the owner your to manage the staff better because it's a constant reinforcement of the culture that you're trying to promote for your business. So what I recommend, if it's not already on your agenda, is to schedule 2 store meetings that will coincide with the holidays. So the first one should be happening right now, should be happening this week. And what you should be tackling is Thanksgiving and Christmas. There's no reason you can't piggyback them together and talk about a list of items that I'm going to cover in the upcoming slides to really get everybody literally on the same page so you know what to expect, how to be best prepared, so that everyone has a focus and a vision and a purpose. And the holidays are going to be crazy. There's no stopping that, and there's no amount of planning or meetings that can work around it. But what we can do is have a plan so we're better prepared to handle that big uptick in the amount of business. One of the things that should be tackled in the meeting is schedules. And coincidentally, I had a separate meeting about a program that I'll tell you about later that took place yesterday. And one of the florists on the meeting asked, what happens when I've got staff members coming to me asking me for time off at the holiday? And it would be surprising for me to have somebody ask you who's been working with you or who's been in the industry for more than a couple years to ask for the day before Thanksgiving or the day before Christmas off. You never know. Anyway, my best advice to you for everyone's benefit is at this meeting, if you don't have it done already, give everyone their schedules through the end of the year. This way, if perhaps you have some people who have just come on board, maybe people who haven't been in the flower industry before, who don't realize how we work contrary to the rest of the world. In other words, in an insurance office, as December goes on, you're kind of slowing down and you get into that holiday mindset and you're kind of just pushing your pencil around the desk closer to Christmas, and we're doing the opposite. We're getting busier and busier and busier. So for those new staff, new to the industry, let them know what the schedule is going to be, what to expect, so you've got proper coverage, so there are no misunderstandings, so there are no hurt feelings, basically. Another topic to tackle is what you're going to be offering at the holidays. Having your meeting this week about Thanksgiving, you probably already at this point have samples in your cooler. If not, bring those to the meeting. Create your samples for Christmas at the meeting. If you're using wire service containers, you probably have those in your store already. The reason I like to have these at the meeting is because then as a group, you get to understand them and know them. You literally can see how big they are. You can smell them. You can touch them. You can learn how to describe them over the phone to a customer, and even think about coming up with a couple of bullet points. So if you look at this arrangement on the screen now, if this were one of your featured arrangement, that you could talk about certain elements and give everybody a list. So every time you're talking to a customer, you're not struggling to come up with a list of words. You're just hitting a couple bullet points. Oh, we've got a beautiful low compact arrangement for Christmas. It's all different shades of holiday green with some cream roses. We even include some lustrous green ornaments, and it's accented with fragrant foliage. You're done. But it's easier to say the same thing over and over. Customers don't need to know that you're repeating yourself all the time, but it sounds good to them. It makes you more efficient. So make sure basically that everybody's intimate with these before the customers start calling, because it's really awkward if a customer calls and is asking, oh, tell me more about that image I saw on your website, or tell me more about this Thanksgiving centerpiece I saw on the flyer in the newspaper. And if you as a salesperson have no idea what they're talking about, really kind of puts you in an awkward position. So make sure that you're prepared in advance of those questions. You want to have the proper mix in your cooler. And what I mean by that is not just a wide variety of flowers like you're looking at here. What I mean specifically is a wide variety of prices. Remember that the cooler is really a store within a store. And when a customer comes in, they're looking at that as almost a barometer of what you're all about. What is your design style? What are your price points? And the biggest issue that I have when I go to visit a store is that too often the prices are too low. They're too safe. They're too low. My challenge to you, and I realize we're in diverse markets, but my challenge to you is to offer or place an arrangement in your cooler for the holidays at a higher price point, at $125, $150, $200. At some point you don't normally go, for the simple reason, A, if a customer sees it, they'll buy it. B, if they don't see it, they'll know that you're capable of it, and they may come down. They might say, well, I don't want to spend $200, but can you send one like that to my mom next week for $150? He's never going to do that if he's only looking at a $40 basket. So think about it from that perspective. Additionally, at the end of the webinar, you're going to get an email address. If you shoot me an email, I'm going to send you some bonus material. I've worked out a very clever plan that will essentially enable you with far less drama and far fewer steps than you deal with now to ensure, literally ensure, that your cooler is always filled with a proper mix of items, filled with the proper balance of price points. It really takes that stress out of the mix, because I know what happens now. For whatever reason, you've got a lot of walk-in traffic. You're kind of feeding off the cooler to fill daily orders, and then before you know it, there's just like one tiny arrangement left in this barren cooler, and then there's the panic to get it filled. And if a customer comes in the meantime, understandably, his or her reaction is going to be, oh, wow, they must be out of flowers. They must not have anything. So be very conscious of how your cooler looks, and be aware that it's a sales tool, and it's also an advertisement really to how you run the entire business. It speaks volumes to customers. Food's important. Food is fuel, bottom line. And I've seen lots of different things done at flower shops, from where they don't even talk about meals at the holidays and people are left to fend for themselves, to where it's pretty elaborately planned out and catered. Bring up the idea of meals at your holiday meeting and decide as a group if the store is going to cover some of the meals, if you're going to do it potluck, if you're going to shrink your typical lunch breaks, if maybe you normally break for an hour, if you're going to scale it back to half an hour at the holidays. But again, it's one less thing to worry about in the 11th hour. What I also recommend for you owners or managers, make sure that you've got plenty of water that you're keeping in bottles in the cooler for your staff, because I remember running around constantly in the store and talking a lot more than I normally would do, and that just dehydrates you. And we're working really hard and we're working long hours, so having cold water is a great way to keep everybody literally hydrated and best prepared to help customers. Another topic that should be discussed is performance goals. How many centerpieces did we sell last year? Let's aim to sell more this year. How many? What was our average sale last year? Let's aim to get it higher this year. How many arrangements at this price point did we sell? Let's see if we can get more. How many pre-orders did we get because we called people in advance? Let's aim to get more. Everybody needs a goal. Everybody needs something to aspire to. So you owner managers, get this data out of your system, share it with the staff. I know when I worked at the flower shop, it really focused me when the owner would tell us, this is what we did last year, this is what we're aiming for, and it was kind of burning at the back of my head all the time. I found myself working harder, working smarter, and it just helped to create more of a team spirit. So it is important for everybody, for all of us, to have goals, something to aspire to. The whole sales process is really what the holiday is all about from my perspective. And I'm not going to get into my complete training program. That's not the point of this webinar. However, what I want to do is give you at least some bullet points that I consider to be real important ingredients in making a smart telephone sale. And you're going to get a copy of this presentation, and you can pull this out of the PDF or Word document and print it. I would recommend discussing this at the meeting. I would recommend posting this by every store and making it part of the culture at your store, not just at the holiday, but even moving into 2014. So I'll walk you through this, and I'll tell you what I'm looking for, what I deem to be critical elements of a good, engaging conversation with a customer. Make sure when you pick up the phone that you identify yourself. Be proud of where you work, and let the customer know who you are. This is a personal sale that we're making. You should always find out if you're dealing with a new customer or an existing customer, for a few reasons. Number one, you don't want to create duplicate accounts in the system. Number two, if it's an existing customer, you want to see their history. More so at the holiday than any other time. You want to look at their average sale. If he's sending flowers to his cousin again, he may not readily have his address available, but if he sent to her last time, and if you have it on the system, you can just say, oh, does she still live at 1121 Pacific Street? Customers love it. Customers don't expect flower shops to have that level of technology, so they're pleased and they're appreciative of the fact that we're making the whole shopping experience more efficient for them. You should always take the card message before the product, because it gives you a window into why the customer is ordering. You understand the relationship between the sender and the recipient. You understand how many people this gift represents. You understand just far more about the order to help you to guide the customer toward buying the appropriate item. And try to comment on the message, even if it's something as simple as, oh, that's such a nice greeting, or what a pleasant thought, or you could say, for example, if it's a funeral, I'm sorry for your loss, or what a great reason to send flowers. People want to know that you're connected. People want to know that you're paying attention, because for them, this is the only order they're placing today. It's important, and they want to know that they're not just talking to someone who's sitting there taking orders all day long. I have a long list of horrible, ridiculous questions that the floral industry tortures customers with. And I cover those when I go on site to a flower shop to do my complete training program. But I'm going to tackle one of them right now. And I think one of the most foolish is asking somebody how much they want to spend. There are many, many reasons not to ask it. Number one, I can't think of any other business on the planet that insults a customer with that question. Secondly, when you ask it, you've automatically put a cap on your sale. And thirdly, remember why the customer is calling. He wants to send some kind of holiday gift to his cousins that he's not going to see. And if one of the first things you ask him is how much do you want to spend, he stops thinking about the gift. He stops thinking about his cousins who he's going to miss, and you awkwardly force him to pick a dollar amount out of thin air. It's just foolish, and it's rude, and it's ignorant. So don't insult customers with this question anymore. Think about this next statement. Is there any business that you've ever visited that essentially says, "Hi, welcome to our business. Here's the least amount of money you could possibly spend"? It sounds silly. You wouldn't expect to hear it at a jewelry store, at a car dealership, at a shoe store, but florists do it all the time. If you've been reading my column, you see every month. And I bet if I called your store, I'd unfortunately hear something similar. So what happens is we engage a customer, we start to take the order, we ask them, what do you want to send, what do you want to spend, and they say, I don't know. So we say our arrangements start at, stop it. Start them in the middle if nothing else. Talk about a medium-sized arrangement. Talk about a higher price point. Talk about a special item that you're featuring for the holiday. You should really only offer that lowest base price if they ask you. If somebody asks me what's the least amount of money I can spend, I'm happy to tell them, oh, that's a beautiful small arrangement, for example. But I don't make that my protocol that I start everybody at the lowest price point. Getting back to the card message for a moment, when somebody says, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Thanksgiving, and it lists 10 or 12 names, that is your green light to offer a larger design. And you can even say, well, on behalf of the entire family or coming from the whole marketing department, this is what I recommend. This is what I'd suggest. My language for add-ons, balloons, chocolates is a finishing touch. And you know from experience that your website generates sales with many, many, many more add-ons than you do in the store, than the staff does. Why? It's the same customers. The difference is the website offers it to every single customer. We in the store don't. We forget. We think, oh, she was in a hurry. We predetermine, oh gosh, you already spent so much, I don't want to seem pushy. Offer them. Offer them, offer them, offer them, and people will buy them. It's simply a numbers game. When you're taking an order, be careful about avoiding dead air. And even if you are the holiday help and you're coming, you haven't been there in a while and you're still getting into the groove of using the software, or for that matter, you're trying to Google an address to help out a customer, just keep talking. Just tell them what you're doing. Say, bear with me a second, I'm double checking. Hold on, I just want to make sure that I have that address correct. Customers don't want to feel that they were disconnected. More and more often you're talking to a customer on a cell phone, and I'm always worried when I'm talking on the phone that the connection's going to be dropped. So don't stop talking. Let them know you're there. There's no reason in 2013 that you shouldn't be taking an email address from every single customer. Many, many reasons, including the fact that most of your point-of-sale systems will enable you to either manually or automatically send the customer a copy of the order and or automatically or manually send them delivery confirmation. Beyond that immediate benefit, when you have that email address on file, it enables the store to reach out to that customer again, to market to them again. So even if somebody sounds like they came over on the Mayflower, that they're that old, that's not an excuse not to capture an email address. You should always run the credit card while you're on the phone. I find it pretty interesting how often people will take a credit card order from me and let me go before the credit card has processed. And I know that because when I make test calls, I'm using a bad credit card. So I know that's not going to work. So I know that they haven't bothered to run it. And just do it. And even if you have to wait a minute, tell the customer, just bear with me 1 second. I'm just finishing your order. Just need to get the credit card to process. You don't leave Walgreens. You don't walk out of Walmart without your credit card being authorized. So why should you let a customer do the same at your store? And then finally, but definitely not least important, thank them for calling. Thank them for coming in. Customers don't have to shop at your store. Let's be candid. They've got lots of other options. They can go to a big box. They can order directly from a wire service. They can have flowers shipped in a box. So we need to let them know that we appreciate the fact that they have opted to choose your store instead of taking the other possibilities that they have. Have this in front of you, follow this, and I guarantee that you'll get bigger sales, fewer problems, fewer complaints. Okay, this is a great idea that I saw years ago, and Those of you who are owner managers, what I want you to do is go to a dollar store, buy some of these books, and give one to every person at the store meeting, and keep one for yourself to use. I did this or used these for years, and it's great. Essentially, the idea is that as you go through the holiday, every day, just jot down some notes in the book, just observations. So, for example, if you notice that you sell out of a product very quickly, if you notice that a product isn't selling, if you notice a customer trend that people are asking for this, people are requesting that, if you notice any customer patterns, any customer comments, write those down. It's very, very important, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but in particular, just because after the holiday, you're not going to remember. And it's also important to see this progression because, for example, what you might notice is that a particular item or particular plant is selling out very early this year, earlier than before, and that is going to factor into how you're going to shop and buy for the next season. So give this book to everybody. I would say give it to the designers, or at least the head designer. Definitely all the salespeople should have it. And in terms of drivers, that's going to be your decision to make. Maybe just the person who's coordinating the deliveries. Maybe not every driver needs one, but you can decide. You know, the more feedback, the better. And then, when's your second meeting going to come? When you are in recovery mode after the holiday. And I know we're all going to be tired. However, you got to meet then. You got to meet really early. I'm throwing out the idea of January 6th, but if you want to meet even sooner, if New Year's isn't a big deal in your store, and if you're taking that week in between the two holidays to kind of clean up and put the pieces back together, if you will, that would be a great time to have the holiday meeting. But you want to get back together again, and you want to talk about what happened. And this is when you're going to review those notebooks. And like the sign says, you're literally going to gain lots of wisdom and lots of insight. Because think about it. If you maybe tried a new item this year, maybe you've never sold a particular item and you offer it, and suddenly there's this feedback from everybody who's reading the same thing from their notebooks. You realize, hey, wow, that product was a hit. We need to do that again. Or conversely, we realize it was a flop. It's going to help you determine customer trends. It's going to help you to even logistically, somebody might have some insight in the middle of the holiday. Oh, we should have done this differently, or we should have placed these there, or we should have hired an extra person to do this. Collectively reviewing these notebooks is going to be really helpful, because essentially what you're creating is a blueprint to discuss at your 2014 Christmas meeting, and there's a possibility that you're even going to be able to use some of this sooner as you prepare for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, because on a certain level the structure of all the holidays is the same. We kind of ramp up and we're doing things at a hectic pace. So definitely make these a part of your discussion. Preparing for the holidays is important. We can lament and complain forever about the way customers wait to the last minute, but that's essentially human nature, and people are just going to always do that. They're always going to order at the last minute. Bear in mind, for some of your customers, it's really just an issue of finances. They literally may not have the extra money that they need to wait closer to the holiday to place an order. Nevertheless, there are a couple things you can do to kind of keep the ball rolling, and this is one program that I love. I did this myself for 5 years. It's very, very easy. It's very, very beneficial and profitable. And essentially what you're going to do is reach out to customers to get orders in advance. And when I introduce this program to stores, sometimes people, meaning staff, will say to me, oh, I don't want a cold call and I'm not a telemarketer. Great, this isn't either. What we're doing is we're offering a service to people who have already done business with us. So there's no cold calling. It's an established relationship. This isn't telemarketing. We're not selling anything. The premise is that we're reaching out to customers to give them the opportunity to place their orders in advance, ahead of the rush, ahead of the last minute craziness. Here's the way that it works. Very simple. Go into your point of sale system, run a list showing all the delivery orders and outgoing orders as well that you sent out a week before Thanksgiving and a week before Christmas. Pardon me, like 2 weeks. And if you don't know how to do this, call your tech support. That's the reason that you pay for use of the software every month. Call them, have them walk you through it. Once you have this list, you've got to clean it. So you might have the opportunity to run the list by occasion code or what somebody, a particular item that somebody sold. My experience is people don't always code orders the same way, so you're better off just getting an entire monster list of everything that was sent, and then give somebody the job to just go through and clean the list. And by cleaning the list, I mean make sure it's a valid, viable call for the holiday. Just look at the card message. When it says something about Thanksgiving or Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah, you know it's callable. And then call them. Just literally pick up the phone and start calling them. And you can create your own approach. A basic skeleton of the dialogue that I used is what you see on the screen. And I would just simply say, hi, good morning. It's Tim calling from Surroundings. And I'm calling because last year we helped you with a holiday gift, or we helped you with a Thanksgiving centerpiece. And I'm calling to tell you about the designs that we have this year. And just take it from there. And the conversation just unfolds. And 99% of the customers love it. They're happy. They're appreciative. You will get the customer who will say, I already did it. You get the customer who will say, we're not sending the flowers this year. You're going to get the customer who is going to say, well, she passed away. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. You didn't know about this. And believe me, you're not the only person that has contacted them about mistakenly about the deceased. So don't let that tear you up. And there's a likelihood that you're going to get lots of voicemail. So when you get voicemail, do the same thing with the addition of leaving the phone number at the store so they can call you and place the order, and make it easy for them to do that. Give them last year's order. So I would simply say to voicemail what I just told you, and then follow up by saying, when you're ready to place your order, give us a call. Our number is 212-580-8982. Here's your order number from last year. It's 714-2298. And then what I do is put a note in the order that I left that message for the customer, and then they call back, place the order, and we're good to go. Okay, let's keep going. So what's the best present that you can give yourself, or the best present that you can give your business for the holidays? And maybe you don't think about it this way in terms of giving yourself a gift, but you should. And in my opinion, the best present you can give yourself is bigger sales, more profits, increased earnings. And here's one way that you can do that, and that is simply by selling Thanksgiving centerpieces better. There's a tendency, as I touched on earlier, to just give a single price, start people at the lowest price point. So they pick up the phone, the customer calls, I want to order a Thanksgiving centerpiece, and we tell them, oh, they start at. Can't do that. That's what's killing the flower industry. You've got to engage a customer. You have to make a memorable shopping experience. So here's the plan. Find out what shape that the customer wants. Do they want a round design? Do they want long and low? And if you use different terminology, if you use oval or oblong, that's fine. Whatever, but just communicate the size. Second question is to try to gauge how big of a design they need. Ask them how many people will be sitting at the table. Make a mental note of this. Finally, double check the color scheme. Don't assume that they want autumn colors. There's a possibility that they want a different palette. They want all white. They want all pink because maybe they're celebrating a birthday at Thanksgiving. So double check the color scheme. Once you have all this information, what you need to do is use the language that you see in that gray strip, because that literally positions you as the expert. And when you tell the customer that you want, that in order to create a centerpiece in proportion to the table, everybody wants to be in proportion, so that's going to catch their ear. And then you say to them, this is what I suggest, this is what I recommend. They're going to listen to you. And I purposely left prices off here for you to insert your own prices, and I didn't want to include prices for you to look at them and think, oh, that's a guideline, or that's what you should charge. I'm leaving it totally up to you. But this is how you should structure it. Once you sell them the design, sell them candles as an extra item. Too many florists just include candles automatically, and they say, "Oh, we take it out of the arrangement." You don't. I've never seen a florist create an arrangement with candles and then say, "Oh, you know what? Let me pull out that one rose, or let me pull out those two flowers." Bear in mind that everybody doesn't want candles. Somebody might say, we have lots of little children running around. You know, we don't want candles. So why should that customer have to get candles? I sell candles as a finishing touch. There's that phrase again. So I say to them, as a finishing touch, I can add 2 slender candles. Notice I'm not talking about colors. The implication is they'll be color coordinated for just whatever you're going to charge. So you're essentially halfway through the order. This brown box in the bottom is going to be something new, something novel, both for you and for your customers. And essentially, what I want you to help customers to do is think about the idea that you're not just decorating your table, you're decorating your home. At my home growing up, we didn't open the front door and then have all the guests run to the dining room, eat, and leave. No, they were there hanging out. The guys were watching the game. There were people hanging out in the kitchen. Obviously, people were using the bathroom. They were circulating through the home. So decorate the home. Lots of different ways of doing it. You can talk about a specific design to place on a coffee table. You can also talk about a cluster of small designs. Maybe you have lots of odd-shaped or mismatched vases in your store that are being unused. This is a great time to put them together as a cluster. You can even offer a package price. You can maybe tell a customer that they can get 3 small designs in vases, different shapes, to place throughout the home, mantelpiece, maybe in a bathroom, maybe in a kitchen table, and that if the regular price would be X, maybe because they've already bought the centerpiece, they'll get it for X minus Y. It's really just a package deal in gratitude for buying the centerpiece. But understand that offering this to a customer will essentially enable you to almost double the sale. So it's a great tool to use. And revisit this. Bring this out at Christmas. Bring this out at Easter. Bring this out whenever somebody says, "I'm having a dinner party." This is a perfect cue to use this tool. Finishing touches again. Here's some more definitive language. We have a tendency to try to sell add-ons as a yes-no question. Would you like to add a balloon? Would you like a box of chocolates? If I'm a customer, I'm just going to say no, because you haven't made it interesting. You haven't made it relevant to my sale. You haven't told me how much it costs. This is a much more professional, articulate way of doing this. So when you have a customer buying a poinsettia, for example, you can say to them, to make your as a finishing touch, to make your poinsettia more festive, I can add, and let's just say it's going to be sparkling branches, or we can add a big velvet bow for just $5 or only X number of dollars. Best thing that they will say is yes. Worst thing that they will say is no. Again, it's simple math. If you don't offer it, they can't buy it. It is your job, it is your duty, it is your requirement to offer this to a customer. Because beyond the obvious fact that it generates more business for the store, what it really does is it enables your customer to personalize his or her sale. You know, remember that at the holidays, you're often talking to people who are calling you to send a gift because they can't be there. So this gift literally is showing up in their place. So every opportunity you can give them to embellish that and personalize it, they're appreciative of it. And don't think for a moment that a customer is going to know that you've got velvet bows or sparkling branches or clustered pine cones and berries. It's your job to educate them about it. Follow the 3 steps. Use the finishing touch language. make it relevant to the sale, make sure that they price it, or you price it so it's easy for them to buy it. Final part in this whole process of giving yourself that gift of increased sales and better and bigger profits is educating customers about the simple fact that you can get flowers delivered anywhere in the world. It's pretty amazing that this late in the game, 2013, there are customers who still will ask very tentatively, very sheepishly, can you send flowers out of town? I've got a daughter who lives in Miami or San Diego or Chicago, and they think it's some kind of magical process. And because I hear that constantly, it reinforces in my mind the need that we have to continually educate customers about that. So here is the language that I use. At some point in the conversation, and you can determine when this is going to happen, whether that is when you're at the counter wrapping up a poinsettia for a customer, when you're finishing up a phone sale, maybe when you're waiting for the credit card to clear. Perfect opportunity to jump in with some version of this statement, a basic kind of heads up that, hey, we can help you out. And so I'll say to a customer toward the end of the call, for example, oh, and by the way, need to send any other gifts for the holidays, we've got great connections. We have our own network of florists throughout the country, throughout the world. I can get flowers delivered anywhere for you. Just give me the order, leave it to us, and we'll take care of it. And I'm continually startled that people say, really? Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that. That's awesome. That's great. That's wonderful. And think about it. These people are going to send those gifts anyway. They were just going to Google it on their own. They were going to respond to some ad that they got in their email or some insert in their credit card statement. You've got that ability, so why not be their full-service florist? Literally, help them with the orders that you deliver locally and help them to get flowers delivered anywhere else in the world. The more service that we can offer the customers, the better, and it's more opportunity for increased sales. I mentioned earlier, I want you to reach out to me, send me an email. This is the address. Send me an email at this address, and what I will do is send you that bonus material, which again is a way to get or a link to download some information, a plan to help keep your cooler filled throughout the holiday and really year round. It's a smart but simple plan that you'll like. Since this webinar was broadcast originally, we have officially opened registration for a webinar that's coming up on December 5th. It's Thursday, December 5th. This goes far beyond what we're talking about today, and as the title implies, it's intense holiday sales training. We're going to cover all the aspects of making sales at the holiday in a much more detailed level. The webinar is 60 minutes long, so it's short and sweet. It's going to happen 3 times over the course of the day. So what I recommend that you do is go onto this website, fsw1310.eventbrite.com. You'll get all the details. You get the special pricing, the date, the times. You can register there. There are only X number of slots, and it's filling up pretty quickly. So I'd recommend that you do that now. And this would be a great way to give the salespeople a shot in the arm, especially if you have people coming on board just for the holiday. We timed it so you can participate in this just as things are going to start to ramp up. Additionally, there's a program that enables me to get, or enables you to get me in your store once a year. I talked at the beginning of the session how I built my business upon going to stores, spending the day working with you, your team, your software. This is a quote from just one of the flower shops that I work with, and that's pretty typical of the kind of results that people get. So I would encourage you to go onto that website that you see in the blue box on the left, fmtt.eventbrite.com. You learn more about the program. You can contact me through email, give me a call, and I can and answer any questions. So I again apologize for the delay in getting this out to you because of the technical glitches, but I do appreciate your time. A big thank you to Design Master for having underwritten this whole series of webinars this year. I wish you the very best of luck for a successful, profitable holiday season, and we look forward to working with you in the new year. So have a great day. Thanks.